In this video, I'm going to teach you how to draw character poses in perspective with a few simple steps. We're going to look at how to correctly place characters inside the perspective rectangles so that, with time and practice, you'll be able to draw these poses just from memory. Let's get into it. First of all, we need to learn how to properly draw a rectangle in perspective. Unlike most cases with these poses, they'll be either looking up or looking down, and these two angles are called top-down view and upshot. So like I said, for the most part, you'll only need to learn how to draw these two. These rectangle boxes will be converging towards the side going away from us. This means that, for example, the top-down one, the top part of the box will look bigger than the bottom part. And of course, everything that is going to be placed inside will respect that rule. The elements near the top, like the head, will appear bigger than the ones near the bottom, like the feet. Opposite to that will be the upshot rectangle, opposing the rules from the previous example. The elements inside the box will appear smaller at the top and bigger at the bottom. You can train various times how to draw these boxes with different rotations and different kinds of converging strength for more or less dynamic effect. Now, after drawing these boxes, as a beginner you'll want to find where the middle of the box is, so that you can place the body with the correct proportions. Let's look at the box on the right. So you might say, for example, that the middle would be probably around here, since there seems to be the same distance from that point to the top and to the bottom, right? But you would be wrong to assume that. As I previously said, for a perspective like this, everything inside will change size. That means that the middle of the box will also be shifted. To quickly and effectively figure out the middle of the box, let's draw an X on a plane. Start from one corner of the front plane and draw a line to the opposite corner of the same plane. Let's do this for the opposite side too. And if done correctly, you're gonna find out where the middle is by the cross section of both lines, which is true. For now, let's split the box in half on all sides like this. Awesome. For the box on the left, the top-down view, it's also easy to assume the middle is where I drew the blue line. But knowing the secret now, let's find out where the correct middle section is. Again, we decide on the front plane, in this case the wider one of course, and starting from one corner we trace a line to the opposite corner, and we do this on both sides. You'll quickly notice that, opposing the box on the right, the middle sits lower than we expected. Again, let's split the whole box in half. Great, we are ready to draw in a character. Now, let me quickly draw a simple mannequin from the front view. This is the sort of mannequin we will place inside the rectangles. One thing we do not want is to place a character inside of the front plane. We want our character to be inside of the rectangle, at least for now. Let's start from the pelvis box. The bottom part of it is considered to be the half point of a character. For my case, I personally like to draw characters with slightly larger legs, so that is why, in this example, the legs look slightly longer. But no worries, for this tutorial, I'll do as if I use the general case. Alright, let's start drawing the pelvis box, sitting on the imaginary middle of the rectangle box we just drew. Always be sure to start the shape in the correct angle, matching the rectangle box. If we drew a ground in the middle like this, the pelvis box would sit on it. Alright, let's work our way up, making the torso box above the pelvis, in the same angle, but going a little bit smaller. For now, as we might draw a character standing flat in the rectangle box, all lines will be pretty much respecting the converging lines of the box. Meaning that, if we'd continually draw them infinitely, they would converge on the same point at some point. Alright, for the head, if it's too complicated to draw it with a sphere and a jaw shape, let's make it a simple rectangle for now. It also works relatively well. Now, before drawing the shoulders, I'd like to draw the legs first, so let's do that. The legs are going to start from the pelvis box and will come towards us in this case. So they will appear bigger the closer they are to the bottom. Let's draw them as simple cylinders for both parts of the legs, the upper and the lower legs. Alright, make sure that the parts of the legs match the perspective rectangle. Everything has to match the lines of the box. One thing that happens for this type of perspective view is that, since the leg that is closer to us is slightly open, it comes more towards us, the camera, than the other leg. This means that in a specific case like this, the leg closer to us will look shorter than the other leg. And the reason is because we see a little bit more of the lower part, unlike the farther leg, which we see almost flat. We basically see two planes of one leg, rather than only one plane for the other leg. After you're done with this, attach the feet. You can draw them with these triangular boxes, which I like to add 2 spheres for the soles. And now we can finally go back and draw the arms. Starting with a sphere for the shoulders, we add 2 cylinders for the arms. Make sure to trace guiding lines from the body to match the same direction and height of each arm part. The upper arm ends at the bottom of the torso, and the lower arm ends at the bottom of the pelvis box. For the hands, I'll keep it simple and draw a simple rectangle for the correct angle. And for the opposite side, it will be the same, just make sure to keep in mind the guiding rules I just mentioned. And that will be it for this angle. As I'm showing here, everything follows pretty much the same converging lines if our character is standing completely flat in the rectangle box. Let's look at a top-down view. Let's also start with the pelvis box for this one, sitting in the imaginary ground in the middle of the rectangle box. After having this initial base set in place, everything that comes on top will be bigger and everything below smaller. So let's draw the torso box, becoming bigger as it approaches the top, and let's add the head above it. After this, let's add the legs. The cylinders will taper down and the bottom part will appear smaller in width and height. Again, make sure everything matches up the rectangle box rules. After you set the feet at the bottom, it's time to move to the shoulders. No secrets here, we draw the arms with a sphere for the shoulder and the two cylinders for the upper and the lower arms, and adding a rectangle type of shape for the hands. Now, that is all for the building blocks of these views. After doing this, you can add anything you want on top of your characters. For this case, I added the light version of anatomy on top. In some places, I had to fix the mannequin base with it so that what's on top has a good and solid foundation. Even for the anatomy bits I added here, they also follow the same rules. Everything is set with the rules of the rectangle box, and everything aligns. I believe that we must practice these foundations regularly, so let's practice some more, with slightly different poses. Let's draw a pose viewed from the top. We're going to use the same rules we learned previously, but breaking them slightly. For this pose, we're going to make a character softly leaning to the side, with his body bent forward a little. We're going to place the legs regularly, and for the arms, let's make one coming towards us, but bending half of it. Even if the arm is not going on top, it's coming towards us, so we're going to draw it becoming bigger. For the other arm, much of it will be hidden behind the torso, so we'll only see a part of the lower arm and the hand, which will be a clenched fist. Let's also add a neck, connecting it to the center of the upper torso and the head. Let's add some form indication for each limb and finish it off with some ambient occlusion shadow for the parts where the limbs are closer to the main body and some form overlapping. Alright, looking good. Let's see how we can draw this one if we mirror it. It is important, even if you use a reference, to draw the same poses from various angles, so that's what we're gonna do. We're going to draw the box opposite to the previous one. The head is pretty much straight, and the body is leaning towards the left side now. The body will have a little bit of an arch, and after adding the legs, let's add the arms. The arm closer to us will be bent, again becoming bigger as it's closer to the camera, and the other arm is going to be partially hidden, with just the fist showing up. We add some form contours for the limbs and some ambient occlusion shadow, and there we have it. Alright, let's make another pose for an upshot now. To be fair, I wanted to make something more interesting than a standing pose, since we did that one before, so I used a reference for this one. It's going to be a pose where the character seems to be crouching, but in fact it's jumping or falling. There's no particular body part that strictly follows the rectangle box, but the whole body pose sits well inside of it. I was struggling to make the proportion work for this one, but as soon as I nailed the torso and the pelvis box, everything fell in place quite easily. For a pose like this, where the rules I explained are broken, there's no much I can explain to you more than follow the reference and make sure the elements are bigger on the bottom, for this case. But make sure everything looks interesting and not flat, so always use 3D shapes. That's why for the hand I exaggerated the pose and size of it. And since the reference didn't have a hand in it, I took a picture of my own hand and drew it. Alright, let's draw another pose, similar to the first two. But it will be to experiment different arm poses and adding a sword. And for the final pose, it will be an upshot of a standing pose with a farther arm also holding a sword. The arm will be at a distance that will appear much smaller in comparison to the arm that's closest to us. And for this one, the other thing in particular that I wanted to explain is that many poses like this, an upshot, can be done with the bottom part of the box not visible. That means that we're gonna see the top part of the lower box inside of the box. This is excellent if you struggle with drawing the feet from below. And that'll be it. I hope you got value out of this video, and if you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you have any video suggestion, make sure to drop it in the comments, don't be shy. Alright, thank you for watching the video and I'll catch you in the next session.